You're now listening to the Engage the Rockies podcast, your go-to podcast for local and state issues concerning Colorado.
Hello, Rockies. This is Sarah Jane Maroney, your host, and welcome to our week in review for the second week of June in 2025. First up, Senate Majority Leader Paul Lundeen, who serves District 9 in Colorado Springs, has resigned. He announced that he will now be the president and CEO of the American Excellence Foundation, 501c3. He served 7 sessions in the Colorado Senate as the minority leader since 2022, and prior to that, 4 sessions in the Colorado House and 4 years on the Colorado State Board of Education, including 2 as the chairman. And there is an article giving quite a lot of accolades since Paul Lundeen has been a kind guest on our show. I did want to highlight a few of those. He co-led multi-year bipartisan efforts to rewrite the public education funding formula, and this allowed more equitable focus on student needs. He played a key role in cutting state income tax, again, helping Colorado families and businesses. And he was the prime sponsor of a lot of bills that strengthened law enforcement's ability to combat human trafficking, working closely with district attorneys and human trafficking counsel, etc. And then finally, he was big on protecting Coloradans' data privacy from big tech and government overreach. And they will be forming a committee in Senate District 9. There's a vacancy committee, and that has to be convened within 3 weeks of Senator Lundeen's resignation in order for that committee to actually decide who will hold the seat. If they don't, then the governor is allowed to appoint. But if the vacancy committee is formed within that 21-day period, they will be able to appoint his successor. Mayor Mabolde has been the mayor of Colorado Springs for 2 years now, and he has set out to do a town hall tour that would hold a meeting in each of the 6 Colorado Springs City Council districts. He began that tour on May 23rd, and the largest turnout was on Tuesday, which is District 2, and that is held in the Classical Academy. The crowd was very unhappy to find out that Mayor Mabolde was unwell and therefore not appearing. The town halls are organized around 5 different categories that Mayor Mabolde's team have identified as strategic: public safety, infrastructure, economic vitality, housing solutions, and community activation. District 1, for example, only had 20 residents who attended, but they had very different concerns than District 2. Overarchingly, the tone of the article is that the residents' reactions were quite mixed and not fully in favor of all of these policies that have changed our city. Also in county, a judge rejected a motion to dismiss a defamation suit. So a defamation suit against Bernadette Guthrie will go ahead, and this comes from her characterization of an elected school board member as publicly branding this public school board member as, quote, a child predator, end quote, and was very, very vocal. The controversy stems back from October of 2023 at a student-led board candidate forum at Chinook Middle School. And when asked about book bans and educational diversity, school board member Derek Wilburn read aloud explicit excerpts from 3 textbooks. He prefaced this with saying that he didn't appreciate this and apologized in advance, but went ahead and read these books. And it was then that Bernadette Guthrie, whose 11-year-old daughter attended, took offense, and over the next months began a sustained attack on his character for having read out these texts at this forum. And the order also emphasized that Guthrie continued to repeat accusations even after having been told by Colorado Springs Police Department that Mr. Wilburn's actions did not constitute promoting obscenity to a minor. Evidently, behind the scenes, Mr. Wilburn's legal team had asked Ms. Guthrie to remove the false and malicious statements and make an apology, and she has refused. So therefore, they are going forward with the legal battle. Speaking of school boards, shifting over to D11, they have now become the second El Paso County school district, joining D49, to approve a policy that requires students participating in school-based sports to attend their biological sex. In that same meeting, they also approved revisions to existing policies, which now allows the Colorado Springs flags and flags of post-secondary institution sports teams and Olympic committees to be flown on the school grounds. In a previous Week in Review, and you can check out those details, we reported about the Colorado Office of Attorney Regulation Council investigating the 3rd Judicial District DA, George Brockler. And as it turns out, this investigation has been entirely dismissed and he has been cleared of any wrongdoing. A small community in Morgan County that holds the Prairie View Ranch Water District, which is 50 miles north of Denver Metro, has now asked for the assistance and gotten the attention of Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. This is her new district. You'll recall that she switched districts. She is asking the House Appropriations Committee for a $5 million grant to overhaul their water system. Evidently, the Colorado Division of Housing allowed an unregistered installer using a dead man's identity and credentials to assemble these manufactured homes. And the Colorado Department of Health, Public Health and Environment's water quality control did nothing for 10 years. Meanwhile, at the urging of Governor Polis, the state health department has helped residents secure a $300,000 grant for an engineer to begin designing a new system. And finally, there are going to be tons and tons of No Kings protests around the country, also in the capital in Denver. However, specifically, there is a protest organized for Parker. And the town of Parker told the No Kings organizers that unfortunately, since they are having their annual Parker Days Festival, which is held in the same weekend in June every year and has over 350,000 attendees, that they were unable to also support the No Kings activist fair. And they specifically cited that they didn't have town resources and that the staffing was limited. As much as they were happy to support First Amendment rights and balancing this with what was already had been planned and had already been permitted, they could not allow the No Kings protest to go forth. Originally, it was pulled off the website and then it was cited as a mistake and it's still going ahead. The organizer of the No Kings activist fair, Carol Williamson, specifically mentioned that she is going forward and moved it because of the Parker Days Festival. However, when she reached out to the Douglas County Sheriff and the Colorado State Patrol to see if they could assist, they specifically told her they would only help in terms of life or death emergencies because Parker had already refused the permit. The town will be seeing hundreds of thousands of people this weekend and make sure that everyone stays safe. And those are the top stories for the second week of June in 2025. Thanks for joining. Please remember to like and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to the Engage the Rockies podcast, your go-to podcast for local and state issues concerning Colorado.